Well, hey, folks, and welcome again to the More Summer 21 Adventures Day 49. Uh, Folks, kind of one of them days. Rain last night, yesterday, when I made my video and, told you about that. It was supposed to stop. It didn't. Okay, all night long, that little pitter patter on that RV roof. Okay, so we slept, yes, but it took a while to get there. And then this morning, when you wake up, you still hear that pitter patter. You think, "Oh man, I've got to break camp down, and everything's going to be wet. The flags are still out, and this and that and whatnot." But it wasn't all that bad. Okay, by the time we actually got it and got around, had breakfast, excuse me, and got out there and started breaking things down, it wasn't that bad. A little wet, but not bad. Then we headed over this way. We stopped at the church that we attended yesterday and had coffee with the pastor and his wife before we actually headed out, because they were only like 11 miles from the campground. So it was just went over there, spent an hour or so with them, and then headed on this way. For those of you who are familiar with it, 73 to 100 to 80 something to 91 to 93 to 302, and we are here at Along the River campground, or Cabins and Resort, excuse me, but it's a campground, in Twin Mountain, New Hampshire, at the base, at the left, I should say the west side of the White Mountains of Mount Washington. Okay, and we were going to go today. I mean, tomorrow. We didn't know they had to have tickets, so we went on and we talked to some folks here. They said, "Oh, no, you'll need tickets. You'll need tickets." Well, we can get tickets for Thursday, which is the day before we leave, at $75 a piece, $79 a piece. Okay, so you know what, folks? We're not taking the Cog Railroad, which I really wanted to do, but I don't want to do it that bad. So tomorrow, I'm going to drive it. Okay, Chrissy's not all that sure about it, but it's a whole lot cheaper. And we're going to drive to the top of Mount Washington tomorrow, which is the highest point in the New England states. Oh, excuse me. I'm yawning. My wife's over here yawning. We're yawning back and forth. And it's 11 o'clock. Okay. Talking to the owner of the campground here tonight, and another gentleman that works on at the Cog Railroad. They're the ones that told us you need to have reservations. But they were telling us about, because it is so high, that the jet stream coming across and coming out of Canada and all that Mount Washington actually splits it, and they get a lot more rainfall on this side than they do on the other side, similar to the western slope of the Rockies. Okay, the water's coming across. The winds and that come across the Pacific. They hit the coastal ranges and the Cascades and Washington and Oregon and all that. Drop rain, then they pick up moisture going across, Nevada and Utah, and then they drop the moisture on the western part of the Rockies, and then they pick up the moisture and everything coming across, the plains. Of course, you got the monsoons that come in from the Gulf of Mexico or the Gulf of California, and that way too in the Southwest. But Mount Washington, and I've heard this before, on different weather channels and programs about Mount Washington. It can be unpredictable, okay, with the weather. And one of these things that we were looking at earlier, that maybe we would take a guided, the 2-hour guided tour up there instead of the Cog. But that was, excuse me, that was more expensive again, and there was no refund. Even if the weather was bad, they just reschedule it. They don't give you a refund. So we thought, well, you know what? We'll go ahead and drive it. We'll pay that $54 because it is a private road, and we'll drive it. And then I can get a bumper sticker that says, "This car drove to the top of Mount Washington." Wow, wow. Okay. So my little Jeep will be decorated. But, but hey, folks, other than some strong wind in certain areas of Vermont, and then coming into, well, actually, most of that was in Vermont just before we got across the line. They're on 91. Oh, excuse me, folks. Beautiful weather. I mean, clear skies, and nice temperatures. We had to make a fuel stop, and there again, that was an easy on and easy off. So, God was good to us today in the traveling and everything. And of course, every time we leave, we ask for traveling mercies. We have prayer. Get packed up and everything. We'll sit up there in the front seats, and the engine may be started, but it's not in gear, and we'll have prayer. And we did it with Joel too. And one time he thought we weren't going to do it. And he says, Grandpa, stop. I said, what? We got to have prayer. I said, we will, baby, we will. But, we did that before we left the campground this morning. And then, oh, excuse me. Mercy. And my wife's over there going, stop it, make it hurry on. I didn't realize I was tired. We had prayer at the campground. Stopped there with the pastor for an hour or so and had coffee with them and him and his wife. Good people. I really enjoyed our time with them. And they had prayer again before we left. So, we definitely had God's protecting hand and traveling mercies on us today, that's for sure. But, we get here and we get set up and we're sitting around and, do you want to fix something? And, what do you want to do? Do you want to go out? So, we ended up going out. Most of the places in this area are closed on Mondays and Tuesdays because this is tourist area, and so even the locals, I say the locals, I mean the people from the general area, not this actual town here, but the general area, come to the campgrounds to camp. They usually come in on Friday afternoons, and then they leave, Sunday afternoon, evenings. So most places are open over the weekend, and their weekend is either Monday, Tuesday, or some places are Tuesday, Wednesday. Well, there's one place that we went to tonight. What was the name of that place, Mama? Left side, lock side, I don't remember. Anyways, it was in Littleton, and you got the receipt. I'm telling you, folks, some good food. And we talked to the acting manager afterwards, before we left, and told her that her staff really did a good job. Food was really good and all that. But we have seen this the entire trip this year, even last year, but more so this year. Places cannot operate at full capacity, not because of COVID, but because people won't come to work. All over. I mean, we left home on the 15th of June, and we have seen it from day one. There in North Carolina through, all the way out west to Nebraska and back to where we are now. They cannot get the people to work. There's, every place you got help wanted, hiring, even putting down how much you're going to make an hour. And people just, sad situation. Okay. But, we talked to her and said, look, we know you're shorthanded. We had to sit and wait for, almost a half hour to get seated. And they had the empty tables. It's just they didn't have the wait staff to wait on the empty tables. Okay. And I said, hey, listen, we're not upset about that. We understand. But just, I told her, I said, look, I said, your staff here, they're hustling. We're seeing it. Our waitress, she had 4 tables. And she was hustling. And and doing a good job. And then when the food came, it was good food. Okay, it wasn't like thrown together and whatnot. You know, so I can recommend that place. I wish I could remember the name of it. The Little Grill. The Little Grill. That's what it was in Littleton, New Hampshire, right next to the railroad tracks. Okay, good little place. And the owner is Brazilian. Of course, he or she wasn't in, but the manager was saying that they had started just before COVID. They had prepared everything for Brazilian barbecue. Okay, where they come around those a Rio. They call it Brazilian Rio, and that's what they were going to do. And then COVID hit, so they weren't able to do it last year. This Friday, the day that we're leaving, they're starting Brazilian Rio. So she said, "Well, come early, and we'll give you a special taste before you leave." Not going that direction, but we might be back there. I don't know. It was good food, and then of course we found an ice cream place, Bishop's there in Littleton also, and this is only like about 8 miles from here. Okay, so it was all good. And that might be why I'm yawning so much, because I am so full. Between my meal and then, the ice cream afterwards. And then sitting around the campfire with the owner and another gentleman that works up here at the Cog Railroad. It was a good evening. Good day, good travel day. I'm glad we're here. We're going to be here for a couple of days. So this is... and like he was saying, the New England states, starting actually, a lot of times you don't consider New York New England, but from the Adirondacks up in the upper eastern part of New York, through Vermont, through New Hampshire, through Maine, even into Massachusetts, a little bit. They've all got their own little mountain ranges, and the mountains are different. It's hard to describe, but the foliage, the trees, and everything are different. Of course, I asked the manager's, the owner's wife, earlier. I said, "Well, what is it?" She goes, "Maple syrup." I says, "That's just what we heard in Vermont." She goes, "Maple syrup." But tonight he said that up here where we are, it's tourism is the number one industry, if you will. Of course, the White Mountains and Mount Washington. Get it further south. He says you got to cook, around Concord, the capital, but then further south, you've got industry and all that. But that's further south part of New Hampshire, not this part of New Hampshire. And I'm glad we're up in this part, because I told him, I says, back in January, February, whenever it was, I made the reservations. I told you, I'm not wanting to be around the big cities. What's the area like up there? And he told me it's country, it's tourism. We got hiking, mountain hiking, fishing, all that sort of stuff. So it's rural, it's country up here, and like agriculture. He says, the cities are down south, so this is why we're in this area. Okay, so I'm glad we're here. It's we've only been here for a couple of hours in New Hampshire. We could spend most of the day driving was in Vermont. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Of course, let's say you're going to do Mount Washington tomorrow, and then we got some other things planned for the other next days that we're going to be here. And this has already been 14 minutes, folks. So let me go ahead and move on. I'm ranting and raving about the trip today and about how pretty it is here. But hey, today's scripture, it's Galatians 6:2, and I don't remember the verse, but we're instructed to bring our problems to the elders, to the church, and this is on that basis. Okay, it's not what it's based on, but it's on the same thing here. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. The law of Christ was, love others as you love yourself, as Christ loved you. And if we can't love our brother and sister enough to help them with their burdens. It says, bear one another's burdens. It doesn't say carry it. It says bear one another. In other words, help them. Okay? Doesn't mean you have to carry it all yourself. You can be, and a lot of times they won't give it up for themselves. But what they're talking about here is bear one another's burdens. Go to them. If you see that they're in trouble, or you hear that they're in trouble, go to them. If you can help them out physically, fine. It may be a personal issue, a crisis in their family and a relationship or whatever. Pray with them. That's the best way. There's power in prayer, folks. I cannot express that enough. There is power in prayer. Bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. Go with them. 2 or more gathered together in my name, therefore I am in the midst of them. Join with them in prayer about that burden. Christ will be in there with it. The Holy Spirit will come and he will help that person. Okay? That's what they're talking about. Not picking up that burden and not picking up their cross and you carrying their cross, but helping them. Okay? Helping them. Christ will carry our cross. Christ will carry our burden. Christ will take care of it. Okay, but we got to bring it to Christ first. All right? Folks, bear one another's burdens and so fulfill the law of Christ. God bless you. We're going to come to you tomorrow from New Hampshire, God willing. Good night.